All right, what's going on, everybody? I just wanted to drop in. We're going to do a quick video here. I know I said at the last meeting that I was going to do a video on how to make a nice border presentation mat for your photos for Salon, and I apologize for not getting around to it sooner. I've had a lot of things going on here lately. I've been sick, all kinds of stuff, but neither here nor there. Let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so first thing, we're going to start off right here in Lightroom. And I've just got a picture up that I don't plan on entering anywhere anytime soon. So this is a picture I took of White Sands, New Mexico, I think at the beginning of last year. So what I have done is I have already created my edit that I want on there. I've already done my crop that I want on there as well. You can see I cropped away a bunch of this stuff. So I've got the photo kind of down to, so to speak, where I want it, if I was going to enter this into a competition. So now that I've got that where I want it and all my edits are done, and I've made sure that my crop is exactly how I want my photo to look, I'm going to go ahead and right click, and I'm going to edit in Adobe Photoshop. Okay, and you're going to hit edit a copy with Lightroom adjustments. So we'll go ahead and do that, and that'll create a copy of it and throw it in Lightroom for you. And notice we're still we're in a TIFF version in Photoshop, 16-bit TIFF version. Um, that's going to be important when it comes to resizing and things like that. You're not going to end up with a lot of artifacting like you would if you were doing like a JPEG or something like that. So you want to work from your original raw file or a TIFF file or something of a high quality file when you're doing this. All right, so now that we have it here in Adobe Photoshop, we are going to go ahead and do our presentation mat. So first things first, let's go ahead and I'm going to show you two different mats. One will be just a simple mat where it has like an extended border and then a little stroke line. And then we're going to do a mat where it has kind of like a drop finish. And then the stroke line is kind of extended out from that. So it's a little bit of a bigger border. And I guess, it's up to you. Whatever you want to put on your photos is fine. Um, but you're definitely going to want to put some type of a border on them. When you're competing in our salon, it's not required. We let our judges know that. However, you should go ahead and start getting the practice in it, because if you're going to be entering into merit image review through PPA or maybe some other competitions, um, presentation is going to be graded. It's part of the 12 parts to a merit image. So let's go ahead and move forward with that. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm on a Mac, so I'm going to be saying Command and Option a lot. If you're on a PC, when I say Command, it's Control. When I say Option, it's Alt. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Anytime I say Command Option something, it's Control Alt something on PC. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is right over here where you see your layer panel. You're going to want to unlock this layer, and then you're going to want to create a new layer and then drag that layer down behind your photo. While you have this layer selected, you're going to hold down Command Option C, and that's going to extend your canvas size. So we'll start with the simple mat first, where it's just an extension and a thin stroke line, and then we'll move on to the more complex one. So first thing you want to do is change this from pixels to inches. And depending on the size of your image, my camera is 45 megapixels, so it may come out a little bit different on your end. So you may have to adjust. Just because I'm going to say 2 right here doesn't mean you need to do 2. Do whatever your heart desires, but just know that you want to switch that over to inches first. All right. So now I have a 2-inch border around my image here. And then the next thing that I can do is I can go over here and grab my paint bucket. If you do not see your paint bucket, come down here to where your edit toolbar thing is there and take care of it that way. Um, we'll go ahead and grab the paint bucket, and I'm going to select my foreground color, and then I don't want the white to be too white. Ooh, look at that dust spot right there. It's a good thing I'm not putting this thing in a competition. All right, I don't want my white border to be too white, right? If you go full stark white, well, here I'll show you what it looks like. You go full stark white, it could, well, it doesn't look too bad on this image. Sometimes if you go full white, it's a little bit too bright. But on this one here, I like it. I think it looks good. It's nice. But if you didn't want to go full white, you can go ahead and use your eyedropper and grab kind of like that gray right there, or maybe this little bit of white, a little bit more white right here. One thing you want to be careful is um, you don't want your matte to blend in with your image too much. Um, that's what I've heard from a lot of people in competition, and you can see right around here at the top of the image where I selected that color from. It kind of blends in with it. Now we're gonna separate it with a stroke, but still, you don't want it to blend too much. So maybe grab that again, and then just adjust it a little bit. Make it a little bit brighter, maybe to where you're not at a 100% white. And then we'll go ahead and drop that in there. There we go. That's not too bad. So I don't think that's going to be too overpowering of the image. All right. So now, I mean, if you really wanted to, you could stop right here. You don't have to go any further. I would recommend going ahead and putting in a stroke line as well, though. Now, here's the next important part. When we go to put our stroke line in, you're going to want to click the layer where your image is. Make sure that you're not on the layer that we just did the matte with. Okay, make sure you're selected your image layer right here. All right, and then we're going to right click, and we're going to go to layer properties. Where's it at? Or we could just double click. How would we do that? Yeah, let's just double click. All right. So now that we've double clicked, we have this layer style menu that pops up. And we're going to come down here to stroke. Okay, we're going to select that. And then in your stroke, you're going to want to choose a different color, maybe a contrasting color. And I'm going to go with maybe this dark gray right here that's kind of in the shadow area. I like that. We'll go ahead and hit OK. And now there's a lot of personal preference in this. Some people like a thicker stroke. Some people like a thinner stroke. For me personally, right here at 6 pixels, I think this is probably about as thick as I would go. And for this image, I might even back that off about half. I might take that down to about 3. Remember, you just want it to be just enough to separate the image from the matte, right? And so I think that looks good. There are, some judges may ding me on the fact that my stroke is blending in with some of the areas on the image here. But with a black and white image, you don't have a whole lot to work with here. So again, this is all preference. Choose colors that work with your image the best way that you want them to work. Okay. All right. And then from this point, we can go ahead and hold down Command, Shift, and E, and it will merge all of our layers down right over here in the layer panel. You can see that it's all merged down now. All right. And then we're going to hold down Command, Option, I. And what that's going to do is that's going to bring up our image size dialog box. And so, depending on what your contest is that you're entering in, they're going to let you know, hey, you need to make sure that it's 4,000 pixels on the long end. Okay, so what does that mean? All right, whichever one of these is the biggest number, make that one 4,000. All right, and some people, they get kind of worried about this, and they're like, well, what if the long end is my tall end? What if that's the bigger number? Whichever one the bigger number is, make that 4,000, right? Or if you're doing Merit Image Review now, I think it's 3820 by 2160, whatever the resolution is for 4K. That's what their number is now. And people get so freaked out about that, right? And so it's 3820 by 2160. So I would look at that and I would go, okay, let's say 3820. We'll do right here, 3820. And then my height is below 2160, so I'm good to go, right? But if I did 3820 and the height was still above 2160, then I would want to adjust the height down to 2160 and let the width come down automatically. So the way to make sure that you're doing that here is make sure that this little link right here in between your height and width, make sure that's selected. So that way, whenever you make an adjustment to one, it will automatically adjust the other to maintain the proportions of the image, right? But I think for our salon, I would have to double check. Don't hold me to this. We're going to check your salon rules. I believe it's going to be 4,000 pixels on the long end. So with that being said, I'm just going to go ahead and set that to not 400, 4,000. So we'll set that to 4,000. My height is at 1420, 1426, so I'm good to go there. And sometimes there may be a resolution restriction as well. So make sure that you check any of the rules for that and stuff. Now, since we are making this smaller, I would use either bicubic sharpener or I would use nearest neighbor. All right. You're going to want to check and see which one works best for you there. Again, that's going to be a personal preference, or depending on the type of image that you have, you could end up with some moire or something like that. So, be careful of which one you select there. If you select one and you start noticing some weird artifacting in your image or anything like that, when you blow it back up to 100%, then, Command Z, back it up, undo your change, and then go back and select one of the other resampling sizes there. All right. So I'm just going to leave it on bicubic sharpener because it tends to work for me pretty well. And I don't think I'm going to have any problems with this issue or with this image. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. And then I'm going to hit Z, and I'm going to go ahead and 100% this thing here and just give it a once over, take a peek at it. It looks good. I don't see anything weird about it. And it looks like that thing I thought was sensor dust right here is actually a spot on my monitor, so I'm good to go. See, moving it around like this, I can see, oh, there's no spot there. Or maybe there is, who knows? All right, so we'll go ahead and fit screen that. And there you go. That is, that's your image. Command Shift S, and you can bring up the Save As dialog here. And you're going to want to save it as a copy so that you can put it into JPEG format. All right. And then we can find a place to put it. I'll just save it to my desktop for right now. And the file name looks good. It's got a bunch of edit copies on the back of there. So it looks like a real photographer's been working on this. And embed color profile, sRGB. That's important. When you go to upload this stuff, they're going to want it in sRGB or Adobe RGB. And depending on what type of competition you're putting this in, just check your rules. Check your rules. All right. So I'm going to use sRGB because I'm going to post this in the group so you guys can see it. And there we go. Save. Yes, it would like to access allow. Go ahead. That's good. I'm good with that. All right. And then we're going to go ahead and hit OK. And there we go. It's saved. Ta-za. All right. So let's go ahead and close this one out. Hit don't save. And I'm going to go back to Lightroom real quick. And we'll just drag this same image back in there. So edit in Adobe Photoshop, just like we did last time. Edit a copy with Lightroom adjustments. Okay. And there we go. So now we're back in here again. All right, so now we're going to do the little bit more of a fancier kind of a mat. So remember, first thing we're going to do, we're going to come over here. We're going to hit the unlock. We're going to add a new layer, and we're going to drag that layer underneath our photo. And we're going to go Command Option C. All right. And then this time, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change it to inches, and I'm just going to do a 1 inch and see what that looks like. Okay, 1 inch. That looks kind of good to me. We're going to go with it. All right. So I am going to now create another layer, and we'll just drag that one underneath as well. So let's go to this first layer one, and we're gonna knock this out first. So let's grab our paint bucket, and we're gonna drop it on here to change our background. There we go. And then on this next layer that's below that, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to make this mat a little bit bigger as well. So we're going to go Command Option C again. Okay. And then we're going to change it to inches. And this time I'm going to go maybe 1.5 because I want this one to be a little bit bigger than the other one. So now we're coming out there, Command 0 to center that sucker back up. All right, and then I'm gonna white drop this thing on the paint bucket again. Boom, there we go. Now it looks like we have just one big solid border, but the magic's about to happen here in just a minute. All right, so first thing, let's go back up to our picture layer, and we are going to, this time, we're going to do, let's do an outer glow. Right here, outer glow. All right, and then you can see it has kind of this drop shadowy kind of effect right around there. And then, depending on your taste, your preference, you might want to adjust the amount that is going to happen. I would not go, I would not go up this high. That could be kind of distracting. So I'm just going to bring it down to, let's say, you also don't want it to blend into your image as well. I think let's say 35%, I think looks okay. Roast me in the comments if you want, but I'm going to go with that. All right. So I like that 35%. That gives me kind of a dark outer glow. Oh, and I forgot to tell you, when you do your outer glow right here, you're going to want to make sure your color right here is black. Otherwise, you're going to end up with an outer glow that's a different color. I mean, you do you, but I'm going to do black because I want it to look like a shadow. All right, and the reason we're not using drop shadow is because drop shadow is going to give you an angle, right? So it's only going to come out on two sides of your image. So that's why we're not using drop shadow. If we use outer glow, then we get it on all four sides all the way around. Okay, so I'll go ahead and hit OK there. And now here's the cool part. So on the layer one, which is going to be that middle thinner ring that we did there, I'm going to double click on that one. And this time I'm going to go ahead and hit stroke. And would you look at that? All right. So now with that stroke right there, you can pick whatever color you want to in here and whatnot. Now that stroke isn't right up against our image, right? It's not right up against our image. It's not going to be too distracting on it and whatnot. And this gives it a really kind of a higher aura kind of presentation. I would think. This is one of my favorite ways to do a presentation and submit something for like Merit Image Review and things like that. I think this gives it just a little bit of a bump. It's a little bit better than a basic matte, and I've been using this one for a little while now, and I like it. The judges seem to like it as well. So there you go. All right, and so with this, we are now done. So I'm going to Command Shift E, and I'm going to merge everything down over here in my layers panel, and then I'm going to Command Shift S, and I'm going to save it right back there on the desktop with my other cool picture that has the edit, edit, edit. I'm going to save it as a copy. Whoops. All right. So back on my desktop again, edit, edit, copy. We're going to have to put a copy to there, or it's going to try and save over it. And then I need to change that to a JPEG. And there we go. Save, hit OK. And now I have two images. If I come over here to my desktop, all right. So there we go. I have the two images, this one here and this one here. So there's the basic style mat, and then there is the kind of a little bump up mat, so to speak. So whichever one you like or prefer, you can use different ones. You can use, the same. You can use them both in the same competition, just to kind of set things apart. But I really like these two different styles of mats. There's a lot of other ways to do this. I'm not saying that my way is the right way or the only way to do it. The great thing about photography is there's like a million ways to skin this cat. So these are two ways that I found that have worked for me and have worked for a lot of other photographers as well. So I hope they work for you. And if you have any questions, leave me a comment down below, or you guys know how to get in touch with me. Just shoot me a message, give me a call, text me, whatever you want to do. All right. Hope this helps you guys with the upcoming salon. Looking forward to everybody participating, and we'll see you there.